James Butler Boxing Swords here with another video, and this one is to preview the upcoming rematch between Andy Ruiz Jr. and Anthony Joshua for the Unified Heavyweight Championships. That will be in Saudi Arabia on Saturday. It's going to be one of the biggest fights of the year, probably the biggest fight of the year, considering that there is so much on stake in this particular battle. Andy Ruiz coming in as the unified heavyweight champion that scored the upset on June 1st in Madison Square Garden. Coming back here to defend those titles against Anthony Joshua, who suffered his first loss of his professional career in Madison Square Garden, and hoping to get those titles back. Now, we just had the weigh in over in Saudi Arabia for this particular bout, and the weights came down as Andy Ruiz came into the weigh-in at 283 pounds, with Anthony Joshua coming in at 237 pounds, and that is kind of I would say a little difference there because you had Andy Ruiz coming in a bit heavier for this particular bout, with Anthony Joshua coming in considerably lighter than he usually does. We had those instances where Anthony Joshua had come into a few of his bouts pretty much around the 250-pound range, particularly in his bout against Vladimir Klitschko. He came in there at over 250 pounds. So just seeing him coming in at this particular weight, 237 pounds, is a lot different than what he usually comes in at, and just goes into what he's looking to do in this upcoming bout that he was not able to do in the first bout on June 1st. And June 1st, he came in there at 247 pounds, so he's 10 pounds lighter uh, for this particular bout than he is for the last bout, and he hadn't been around that 230 range in a long time, not since 2014, before he even won any of the world titles. On the flip side, you have Andy Ruiz Jr., who comes into this bout at 283 pounds, which is considerably higher than the 268 pounds that he came in at the last bout on June 1st. And with him being around 283, that is, basically the highest he's been pretty much for the majority of his career. He had not been at around 280 pounds since the first couple of fights of his career. So that's going to be a little bit of a concern as far as like him being able to be mobile. He usually is around that 260-pound range, 250-pound range to move around the ring. But he's kind of like been a big guy for the majority of his professional career, so he's able to move that weight well once he's in the ring, and he could stand and trade with basically anybody with the fast hands, as we were able to see in his first fight with Anthony Joshua. So this is something that we are going to be, looking out for in this particular bout. Another key here is that you have Andy Ruiz Jr. coming in as the world champion, and this is his first fight defending those titles. This is, the first bout where he has to go through being at the world champion and having this extended layoff in between fights, with the exception of the extended layoff that he had in between the Joseph Parker fight, where he lost that fight by a decision for the at the time vacant WBO heavyweight championship, until 2018, when he fought Devin Vargas. He didn't necessarily have those type of layoffs in between fights. He usually fought, within, um, you know, 2 months, 3 months or so, for the majority of his professional career. Longest time as far as like layoffs has been was like 5 or 6 months or so, for the majority of his career. So that's something else that we had to look for. Going into this thing for the rematch, he hadn't been, in the gym for 3 months, so he had to get back into it for another 3 months in the gym before going into his final preparations here against Anthony Joshua in Saudi Arabia. So that's something that I'm going to be looking forward to see how Andy Ruiz is moving around the ring in comparison to Anthony Joshua moving around the ring in this particular bout, particularly as in the first fight when Andy Ruiz was able to have Anthony Joshua in trouble in the third round. He was able to close in and get to the inside of Anthony Joshua on multiple occasions after the first knockdown in the third round. So we're going to see if he's going to be able to do that here in this rematch, be able to cut off the ring or be able to cut down Anthony Joshua's movement, because I think Anthony Joshua is going to plan to move around the ring more, circle around Andy Ruiz, not be, straight ahead or, right in front of Andy Ruiz to, nullify the pursuit of Andy Ruiz, with Ruiz trying to corner him or cut off the ring against him. So that's another thing that we're going to be looking at on the fight on Saturday here. So, and one other key thing that I'm looking for is for the trainers on both sides. What are they going to do here in this particular bout, particularly when one fighter is, either having a considerable lead or is in big trouble in this particular bout and is able to get to the corner. Um, After the first fight in June 1st, a lot of people were praising Manny Robles for his tutelage of Andy Ruiz in that particular bout in Madison Square Garden, and a lot of people were slamming Rob McCracken for his lack of giving Anthony Joshua adjustments, or not being able to instill those adjustments into Anthony Joshua, leading to that seventh round TKO loss by Anthony Joshua on June 1st. So we're looking to see what adjustments have been made by both fighters. There have been, other people that have come into Anthony Joshua's camp to see what else he could add to his repertoire against Andy Ruiz Jr. And that is another thing that I'll be looking for. There is a lot going on the line for this particular bout. Andy Ruiz, seeing if he is a one-hit wonder, which I don't think he is. He's worked very hard for the majority of his career. Just had that one little setback against Joseph Parker in the end of 2016 where he lost by a majority decision, and then after that he was pretty much put on the shelf, so to speak. So he didn't really get back into it, like I said, until 2018. So he doesn't want to be put into that similar situation um, with a loss. So as he said, he's gonna do everything he can to get the victory, um, and that he's thankful for the opportunity. I thank Eddie Hearn for the opportunity, and all of those things that he said over the course of the past 6 months. But once he steps into that ring, he's going to be ready to go. He already knows that, with his win over Anthony Joshua, he has that confidence that he could do it again. And on the other side with Anthony Joshua, it's basically seeing what he did wrong in the first bout, as he was able to score the knockdown in the third round, but then tried to follow through to finish off Andy Ruiz and then got caught in the temple, which just took out his equilibrium, and he hadn't been the same for the rest of that particular fight up until that stoppage by the referee, Michael Griffin. And that is, what we're looking at here on December 7th over in the Diriyah Arena in Saudi Arabia. Rematch: Andy Ruiz Jr., Anthony Joshua for the WBA, IBF, WBO, and IBO heavyweight championships is going to be, I feel, a classic bout that will shape the heavyweight division for the next 2 to 3 years. Yep, I said it, the next 2 to 3 years. So that's what I have for this preview of the rematch. Andy Ruiz Jr. versus Anthony Joshua for the unified heavyweight championships. Be sure to catch it. Don't miss it. It's going to be a great one. And be sure to subscribe to the Boxing Source on YouTube and catch the Boxing Source radio show live Sunday nights, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 4:30 p.m. Pacific Time. And you'll have the podcast available on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor.fm, or whatever your favorite podcast app is. On that note, folks, I'm out. Peace.